Hey guys, welcome to Comic Basic Top 10s, where we try to unravel everything we know about comics in 10 minutes or less. Today's top 10, 10 powerful Marvel villains that have yet to appear in the MCU. Before we begin, why don't you hit that subscribe button just below this video. That way as our videos become available, you'll be the first to know. In a world of endless imagination, the executives at Marvel Studios have done a bang-up job of bringing our favorite heroes and villains to life. From a hero standpoint, there has been no shortage of characters to grace the big and small screens. However, when it comes to villains, we typically only see one, or if we're lucky, two per movie. Because of this, it's hard for the executives to pump out villains as fast as they can pump out their counterparts. And as a byproduct, well, the MCU is missing just a few important ones. Okay, this may seem like a no-brainer as the big wigs at Marvel have made it semi-kinda clear that they will be a part of the storyline moving forward. In fact, rumor has it that these green creatures will play a rather large role in the upcoming Ms. Marvel movie. And if the rumors to be true and the Skrulls will make an appearance, I ask you, are they already here? Are the Skrulls Marvel's way of getting some of their actors out of the MCU? If this were the case, two things would be confirmed. First, it would show just how smart the writers at Marvel are and how much thought goes into each and every story, character, and event long before it happens. Second, it would make a great exit for many of the long-standing characters whose contracts are expiring. And while I'm at it, hey! Third, the Skrulls would be an incredible addition to an already solid cast of powerful Marvel villains. Elvis Presley famously sang, "Deep in my heart there's a trembling question. Still, I am sure that the answers are going to come somehow." And my trembling question for the last number of years is whether or not we'll finally see Annihilus in the MCU. If you haven't read the Annihilation story, I suggest that you do so. Not only is it one of the best stories in recent memory, it's one of the most involved and tightly written ones at that. Where else can we see the pairing of Nova, Star-Lord, Drax, Galactus, Thanos, and others assemble to fight off a massive threat from the negative zone? Come on, Marvel. If you're listening, make this happen. Yeah, granted, they've already made an appearance in the MCU when Ego the Living Planet graced us with his presence. However, a full-fledged Celestial movie could be, and would be, out of this world. Imagine, just for a moment, the spectacle that would appear before your eyes should the likes of Devron the Experimenter, Gamemnon the Gatherer, Tefril the Surveyor, and the Red-Blue Judge walk across the screen. Now imagine a movie filled with it. CGI in movies is only getting better, and now, more than any time in history, it's starting to age properly. It's about time that Marvel uses this and brings forth the Celestials. Been there, done that, right? Jake Gyllenhaal has supposedly been cast to play Mysterio in the upcoming Spider-Man Homecoming sequel, and I, for one, am excited. I love Mysterio, and I believe that he will be a welcomed addition to an already impressive cast of characters. Thus far in the MCU, no movie has been able to top the beauty of Doctor Strange. While I don't think the movie was all that great, hate me if you want, I can't argue how simply beautiful it was. Each time he entered the mirror dimension, I knew we'd be in for a ride. And you know what? We were. Mysterio can and will do the same, even if the story ends up being subpar. Even if he isn't necessarily one of the most powerful Marvel villains, I'm happy to see him come to life. Speaking of Doctor Strange, let's talk about Shuma Gorath. First of all, what the hell is a Shuma Gorath? Well, that depends on what you consider the beginning. If it's his first appearance, Shuma Gorath has been a thorn in the side of Doctor Strange since 1972. If we follow Marvel continuity, he's been around since, well, forever. For a long time before the existence of Earth as we know it, Shuma Gorath ruled the world. Eventually he was defeated and banished by the sorcerer Sized-Neg. Like all things in comics, the creature returned, but is once again defeated. Rather than being banished, it's simply locked away inside a mountain. From here, Shuma Gorath continues to plague the Earth. That is, until it's finally sent back to its home dimension. At this point, it becomes a nuisance to Doctor Strange, and the rest is, as they say, history. Shuma Gorath is a godlike creature that's capable of inflicting mass destruction wherever it goes. It's considered one of the most powerful entities in Marvel and rules hundreds of alternate universes. More than that, look at him! Imagine that on the big screen. Yes, MODOK. One of the more obscure characters in the Marvel Universe, MODOK deserves his shot at the MCU. However, I'm just not sure what route to take him. When Arnim Zola was tackled, he first appeared in a human form. It worked and worked well. The next time we saw him, he was taunting Captain America and Black Widow from inside of a machine. And it worked too. So what to do with MODOK? Marvel has a track record of humanizing their characters. From the aforementioned Arnim Zola to the less purple Baron Zemo, they like their humans. I suppose it's because they're a little more believable on the screen and they age better, although that aging thing is becoming obsolete. But no, MODOK should be MODOK. M-O-D-O-K. Big, ugly, angry, and well, everything else that MODOK is. At the end of the day, I really don't care. Just bring him to the MCU. By the time you watch this, depending on when you do of course, Kang may have arrived. If this is true, I'd like to think Marvel would give myself and a few others credit for mentioning it. Kang the Conqueror is a time-traveling being who literally traveled back through time to ancient Egypt in an effort to recruit a young and not yet mutated En-Sabah-Nur. And if you didn't know, En-Sabah-Nur is Apocalypse. This Apocalypse, contrary to the one that made his movie debut in X-Men Apocalypse, is awesome. He would not succeed in his attempt, but he did manage to rule for many years. Eventually, his rule was brought to an end by the equally time-traveling Fantastic Four. Before you tell me all the reasons Kang wouldn't work in the MCU, Fantastic Four, X-Men property, Apocalypse, know this, he made his debut in an Avengers book. A once normal human, Count Nefaria has the capability to go toe-to-toe with just about anyone in the MCU. Lucino Nefaria was a well-to-do aristocrat who desired nothing more than wealth and power. Subject to an experiment at the hands of Dr. Kenneth Sturdy, Nefaria was given energy projection strength and speed. Further to that, as he aged, he evolved in a way that enabled him to create ionic forms and manipulate similar forms around him. Basically, Count Nefaria is near invincible. But wait! Whoa, wait a second, Joel. Doesn't the MCU have enough of these superpowered villains hell-bent on rule? Yes, you are right. But if Marvel wants to continue to go down this path, I can see very few that would rival Count Nefaria. As far as powerful Marvel villains go, he needs to make an appearance. Does Taskmaster deserve to be the only villain in a Marvel movie? Nah, probably not. Is he considered a powerful Marvel villain? Nah, probably not. Does he deserve the treatment that Brock Rumlow Crossbones received? Yeah, he does. By no means is Taskmaster capable of being a main protagonist in a movie. His backstory is meh, his powers of mimicry only go so far, and his costume looks kinda goofy. But he does deserve a crack at being in the MCU, and why? It's exactly as I said before. His powers of mimicry would allow the movie powers that be the opportunity to create one hell of a fight scene, and then it would be over. As is almost always the case, the heroes would figure out a weakness, find a fatal mistake, or exploit something, and Taskmaster would crumble like a stack of Oreo cookies in the middle of 12 children. But man, would that fight scene be glorious. A Black Panther sequel is coming. How could it not be? The movie dominated the box office and broke just about every conceivable record known to man while there. My biases aside, when the sequel comes, it will need a villain, and who better than Tatu? Once a student of the Hikima Shule or the Wakandan Academy, Tatu left in search of knowledge beyond what we know as the physical world. Unable to find such wisdom, Tatu returned to Wakanda, but instead of its city, he lived his life in the wilderness. Eventually he would, in fact, return to the city, and upon his arrival, he used his now substantial powers of nature manipulation to punish any who exploited those unable to fend for themselves. Nearly a counterpart to King T'Challa, Tatu's desire is to overthrow the king so that he may rule Wakanda as he sees fit. I ask you this, if Wakanda is beautiful, which it kinda is, can you imagine how amazing it would be to visit more of the land outside of the city than the actual city? With a villain like Tatu in the mix, there would be no choice but to bring the fight to the countryside. And that's it. 10 powerful Marvel villains that have yet to appear in the MCU. Do you agree? Do you disagree? Who would make your list? Which powerful villain should the executives at Marvel Studios use in their movies? Leave it in the comments below. As always guys, I'm going to ask you a few final things here. First, if you like this video, hit that subscribe button. It really helps this channel grow. Second, if you really liked it, give it a share. Let somebody else like it too. And third, head over to our website, comicbasics.com, where we have more information than we can fit into any of these videos. Thanks guys. We'll check you next time.